Jeanette Ramos here, CEO and President of It Takes a Village Housing. It Takes a Village Housing is a nonprofit organization that houses women who have been affected by drug and alcohol use while having their children live in transitional housing. Services to include drug treatment, mentoring, counseling for the kids, parenting. We set them up with employment. We help them get everything that they need to get them out into the community. Go to our website, ittakesaVillage1.org, and donate. Donate whatever your heart desires, and let's change families one at a time.
Imagine a verdant paradise that stands as a convergence of worlds, a living temple of native wilderness, a place where the full potential of inherent human and earth magic can be seen, felt, and understood, a space that attracts the brightest and best of educators on the leading edge. A place of permaculture designed for the benefit of future generations.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Whole Living Show. It is Wednesday morning and we are here ready to help you live happy and healthy lives holistically. So today I do have a holiday back for you all today because this is a good one. It is National Read a Book Day. So you want to make sure that you are reading a book and buying a book. Also, this holiday represents actually buying a book as well, because they're saying that buying a book takes place on September 7th each year. This day is celebrated to raise awareness about the dying book buying and book reading culture. Isn't that a shame? We should be out there. We should be reading. There's so much that you get from books that you cannot get from, television or movies. So, you can explore so many different things and learn so many different things from reading a book. So this is why this day was designated National Buy a Book and Read a Book Day. It says, did you know that the U.S. adult population that reads books has declined to 7% by 7% over the past decade? So buying books is becoming obsolete right now. And a lot of bookstores are out of business, especially those specialty bookstores that used to be around. And Amazon has pretty much taken over. But the good thing is you can get any book that you want on Amazon. If it is not there, I just don't know. They have mostly everything that you need to read. So in today's digital age, we want to make sure that people are still reading. So for everybody out there, let us know what you are reading these days. I'm about to start this book, and I hope that you can see this, StreamYard with the backwardness of it. But this is called The 7 Ds to Your Destiny. It is by author Amy Burkett. And I happened to meet this beautiful woman at an event by eWomen Network here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she was an amazing speaker. And I was like, I gotta have the book. So this is a book that I am about to get into, The 7 Ds of Destiny. So just wanted to mention out there to everybody, if you are not reading, pick up a book today and read a book. Or if you were thinking about buying a book that you just have not gotten yet, go out, buy that book, hit the app on your phone that says Amazon and go get that book. It's out there for you. And as a matter of fact, our guest today is an author as well. So she's going to be able to share her book with you as well. And we were actually co-authors in this book. So if you want a book to read, you can buy our book and we'll mention that to you all later. So just wanted to give you a little tidbit of news, everybody. And I think this is really important, particularly for those who are living in my state of North Carolina. So listen, if you haven't heard by now, that President Biden has issued a forgiveness on some loans, some student loans for students across the country. However, there are states in our country that do not share the same laws as our federal laws, which means that they have the option to levy taxes on the forgiveness amount of your student loans. So if you earn, say, 30, 40, $50,000 a year, right? And that's what you get taxed on from your employer, or potentially if you're self-employed. But if you are being taxed on that amount, now you are going to have to add, if it's that $20,000 of forgiveness, you will have to add that to your earned income in order for you to get taxed on that particular amount. So I wanted to give you the states because I think this is important. Parents, for your college students out there, your just graduating college students, or if you are out there and you've had a loan for a while and now it's being forgiven, you want to make sure that you understand the laws in the state. So even though federally you are not being taxed for it, you could be taxed in the state. So if I don't mention the state, that means they are in line with the federal government, and their rules are the same as the federal government. But let me just tell you about some of these states. So Arkansas is actually undecided. They have not decided whether or not they're going to levy this tax or not. So beware, stay tuned for that. If you live in the state of Arkansas, you want to make sure that you are just keeping abreast of what they're going to do. Hawaii has said no levy, even though they have the option to do that. They said no. Idaho has said no. Kentucky has said no. Massachusetts has said no. Minnesota is undecided. So for those out there in Minnesota, you want to make sure that you are just staying abreast of what's happening with your tax laws in your state. Mississippi has decided to levy. So if you live in Mississippi, you want to make sure that you file your taxes correctly and that you add this forgiveness so that you can be taxed on it and not get into any tax trouble or liability from your state. New York State has decided not to do it, even though they would have the option, but they have said no. North Carolina, the state that I am currently living in, is saying that they will levy. So for all of my North Carolina folks, you will get levied on this particular forgiveness. So you want to make sure that you add that. Pennsylvania has said no levy, Virginia has said no levy, and West Virginia and Wisconsin are currently undecided. All other states that were not mentioned are in conformity with the federal tax law, so you do not have to worry there. But I would say, if you have a CPA or a tax expert that or you work with, make sure that you speak with them about how this affects your taxes for your particular state. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because I think it's important. It was great that the president said that he was going to, right, pardon these loans and forgive these loans, but you want to make sure that you are also in line on or aligned with the state that you are in to make sure that you are paying the proper taxes. So just thought that is worth mentioning to everybody out there. So everybody, we have a great show for you. This young lady brings the fire. She is waiting backstage. If you listen, after this, if you're not following her already, after this, you're going to want to make sure that you follow her on all of her social media, because when you look at her videos, she is going to help get you straight. Her name is Charmaine Floyd. She is Miss Selflove, or also known as the breakup strategist. Yes, I said it. And I didn't even know that there was such a thing. I knew that there was a need for such a thing before I met her, but did not know that existed. But she is doing it in her own unique way and helping so many people out there who are dealing with breakups and just don't know how to get through it. So I want to read all of you beautiful people her bio. All right. She helps people move past their breakups and remembers who the F they are. Now, this is daytime television, so I won't say the word. Maybe if you catch me on Fem Talk, we have her on Fem Talk, we may talk like that at night, but not here on the Whole Living Show. So she helps them remember who the F they are with a 30-day detox from her ex program. So listen, you know that it takes 21 days to break a habit, right? So she's giving you 30 days to detox from your ex. She has a podcast called A Breakup is a Wake Up, which is over 150,000 viewers. And she also teaches you how to start and be successful with your own podcast. And listen, she's done it. She's got the numbers right here, but she is raw and she is real. And we're just going to bring her in. She has helped over 500 clients get over their breakup. So how significant is that? And listen, I'm 51 years old. We're just going to be transparent right now. I'm 51 years old. I know what it means to break up with somebody because I'm not currently married right now, everybody. So I know what this means and I know the heartbreak that comes with it. And she's going to talk to us about some of the things that happen when people are having problems getting over a breakup. And she's going to give us her backstory too, to let us know why she decided to become the breakup strategist. So without further ado, we are going to bring Charmaine Floyd into the room. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you? We're going to change
I'm
this
good.
view so I
Who's
can see
here?
you. We can see you up close and personal here. So it is good to see you, Charmaine.
It is good to see you. I'm so excited I'm here.
Yes, I am excited that you are here too, and I know you're gonna bring it. I love how raw and just real you are when you are speaking to people on social media. So
Ooh.
everybody, we're gonna give her social, but I just wanted to mention that because she gives it to you straight. But I want you to start off telling us a little bit of your story and how you became Miss Self Love and the breakup strategist.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. I'm so excited. And I was just thinking about this last night, and it basically started because, we're in 2022 and women are being told, and I have men clients. I'm not just a woman client, but today,
Mhm.
it's WCW, Woman Crush Wednesday. I'm on your show. I'm wearing pink. It's about women today, right?
Yes.
So basically, women are still being told in 2022 through marketing, through music, through social media, through indirectly through people that we should be staying in toxic relationships. And I was just thinking about this last night, and it's
Mhm.
2022. Some women are still in toxic relationships, living with a toxic person because of money.
Mhm.
And we have
Mm.
freedom. People fought for us to get jobs. People died for us to be here, and we're still in toxic relationships because of money, because of mindset,
Yeah.
because of people telling us that. It's being told to us all day, left and right, to stay in these toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And so I basically had enough. I'm like, I don't care what anybody's told me. I don't care what's going on. I'm not, I'm going to put my little feet down, and I'm
Mhm.
not doing this anymore.
Mhm.
So basically, it's about, and all in all, I'm just a girl that wants people to remember who the F they are.
And I love that. I love. So how did that come about? Remember who the F you are.
Because that's what it's really about. It's like we're self love is hard because of everything that's being told to us on the outside, what we're supposed to
Mhm.
look like, what we're supposed to wear, what we're supposed to act like. And we
Mhm.
lose ourselves.
Mhm.
We lose ourselves in this whole thing, and it's like, listen to your insides. What is your
Mhm.
inside telling you?
Yeah.
And if you never, and when I say that to some people, they like, well, I never knew who I was. I never had self-love,
Mm.
and I'm like, well, you're going to have to find out today. Like, what is
Yeah.
your inside telling you?
Yeah.
We
Well,
can't listen to inner. We always listen to outer.
yeah. Oh, that's good. And we're going to come back to that a little bit because I want to talk a little bit more about what your program does with self-love. But I want to ask you first because you mentioned the women that are staying there for money.
Yeah.
So this is a two-part question, right? What do you tell the women that are there for the money? But then what do you tell the women who may be financially stable but are having some of the emotional issues and not being able to get out of the relationship.
Yeah, well, definitely, I always say a lot of it has to be with, and I always say it's embarrassment. For me,
Mm-hmm.
it was,
Mm-hmm.
if I leave this man, what are people going to say? And I'm posting this man all over Facebook. Oh my goodness, now I look like I can't keep a man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are staying in, and this is in the subconscious brain. People don't know this is going on in the front of their brain. That's why I go deep and I talk about this stuff. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know in the front of their brain. I'm worried about what my mom and Aunt Sally's going to say
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't keep a man.
Mm-hmm.
You're staying. This is like you're staying in somewhere because of what outside people. That's why we have to keep looking on the inside. This is not
Yeah.
about yeah, it's like you love him or whatever, but this is really about, oh, I'm embarrassed if Aunt Sally finds out I can't keep a man. And basically a lot of them have left their friends and family to be with this person, and now they feel silly. This is about more than just, oh, I love this person and I can't. This is about what people are thinking about you on the outside.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, we're gonna get to some of the comments before we move on. We've got Angela
Oh,
Fletcher's out
hey,
there
Angie. Oh, my
saying good
goodness. How are
morning,
you?
giving you love. She's saying, I'm reading. You are a badass at making the Miss
Oh,
Self-Love.
yes.
Recommended.
Best book. Yeah.
Yes, we got Jennifer Vega out there saying
Hi,
Grand
Jen.
Rising.
Grand Rising.
Yes, and I don't know who this Facebook user is, but maybe they're from Mississippi or live in
Okay.
Mississippi. Have responded to the tax issues, but Angela is responding, and so many other people. We've got somebody saying,
Love you,
"Yes, she
Angela.
makes you remember who you are." That sounds like our beautiful sister Lori Crosby, your bestie. That sounds like her.
Let us know who you are, Lori, because it's saying Facebook user, because mine was saying Facebook user last week. I'm like,
Last
it's
week,
me.
yeah.
Hello.
Angie saying you look gorgeous, so we just wanted to
I love
give everybody
Angie.
a
Thank you,
shout.
Angie.
Jenny saying yes, love
Love you,
her.
Jen. Aw.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you're getting a lot of love out there. So let's get into a little bit of, because you talked about self-love and that, self-awareness and looking internally, right? So what do you take your clients through when it comes to the self-love piece of it? How do you get them to that awareness?
Yeah, so basically, we're doing assignments, the self love assignments that I've
Mhm,
put together. The first
mhm,
2 weeks of the program, we're detoxing from the ex.
mhm,
Because, basically, you are on a drug, you are on heroin.
mhm,
This is a drug you're on.
mhm,
So, the first 2 weeks, we're detoxing from your ex
mhm,
with those specific assignments. And then the next 4 weeks of the program, I'm giving you assignments. We're talking, we're reading, we're writing. It's like school. That's how you're
mhm,
able to learn yourself.
mhm.
Self-Love University is the next thing I'm coming out. We're studying everything else but ourselves. So
Yeah.
basically, they're in the Self-Love University course, and they're learning themselves through reading, writing, and listening and talking to me.
Yeah.
Because once you do all of those things, you're able to learn who you are and remember who the F you are.
Yeah, and I love that you said reading. So, do you have? I know you're an Audible fan, just because I know you so well. I know you're an Audible fan, but I also know that you read books, right? So, and today is Read a Book and Buy a Book Day. So, do you have them? Do you tell your clients, whatever works best for them? If they're an Audible person, get it that way. If they're, a visual person, go ahead and buy the book.
Yeah, I let them do what they do. They have to end up
Yeah.
getting Audible because I need them to keep that book in their ear and
Okay.
keep the outside things out, and the books
Okay.
are helping them keep the inside in alignment. But they do
Okay.
both.
Okay.
And my client bought the book
Mm-hmm.
physically and found $5 in the book.
Ah, very nice. That was meant to be. So yes, that was Lori. Actually, that was Miss Manifest who was here
Hey, Miss
last week,
Manifest.
everybody. So if you missed
Yes.
that show, you want to make sure that you go back to E360 TV and watch that. She was amazing as usual. So listen.
Miss
Yes,
Manifest got me into reading all these books.
yes,
It's because of her that I'm here. She got me to
yes,
believe in myself. Just
yes.
shout out to Miss Manifest. Woo!
Absolutely. My friend here is saying, hello, my friend. This is my friend Denise. And I think you were probably working out with Denise in the mornings
Hi, Denise.
when you used to work out with me. But so I want to get back into this because this is so key. So, what did you recognize about yourself before you decided to say, you know what, I'm not taking this anymore? Because you said earlier, like, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. But what came up for you before you actually kind of flipped that switch, made that decision, had some self-awareness? What happened?
Well, I had a breakup
Mm.
coach, basically. And so when you talk to somebody,
Yeah.
you start to you learn faster. Your learning curve. When you have a coach, you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have a
Absolutely.
coach, you move so faster, so much
Mm-hmm.
faster. Like my clients are moving at the speed of light. I moved at the speed of light, and I see
Mm-hmm.
the people that may not have coaches and stuff like that, and they're like, it's like really slow increments. And this is
Mm-hmm.
your life on the line. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I rather save 10 years of your life. I save 10 years of my life. Because
Mm-hmm.
I could have been basically going in another rebound relationship if I didn't have somebody to help me. Sometimes we need somebody to help us out of our darkest place.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So
Yeah.
I just had somebody that I could talk to and be like, let me flip the switch. I started learning faster. I started reading. I started writing. And I'm like, F this. I'm not going to be sitting here, letting somebody do whatever they want. I can have whatever I desire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you say your life is on the line, talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so as far as relationships go,
Mm-hmm.
basically, if you do not detox from your ex in the proper manner, which is reading, writing, and talking, and putting a date on it,
Mm-hmm.
then you can end up in another toxic relationship. So you're rebounding for the next 10 years. You're rebounding. And now you're ending up in these toxic relationships. And now, you're older and you're like, oh my goodness, crying. I don't know how I got here.
Mm-hmm.
When we could have just solved the issue from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to address something because you just said that, right? Saying that, I'm older and I don't know how I got here, which is why I love that you put that self-love piece in there, because if you have that self-love and that awareness of self, then that I don't know how I got here portion really wouldn't be an issue, right? Because you could say that,
self-responsibility.
Exactly. And I love myself. So, okay, I'm here and that's okay. Right. Instead of saying, I don't know how I got here. So I love that you incorporate that piece of it, because it doesn't really matter how old you are. Speaking from the 51-year-old up here, we've got Smile Serrano out there. Thank you for joining us. We've got Carrie Crosby saying Grand Rising. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Carrie.
Absolutely. So talk a little bit more about a little bit more of your program, some of the things that you've seen a little bit deeper, because you've told us what the program does, but give us some examples of some of your clients, of course, without mentioning names, but some examples of what you've started out with people on, and then what they've gotten through as a result of your program.
Yeah, well, let's talk about my client that is married. They got married because of the program. Who would have known? So my client came to me when she was. It was in the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. She was 40 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Tracy, you listening?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
So she.
Listen, I already love myself, Charmaine.
But listen to the story.
Okay.
So she was 40 years old, and she was in a 10-year toxic relationship. Mm-hmm. The guy was coming in and out. He was living there, coming back and forth, and she knew she needed to get out, but she didn't know how. Mm-hmm. And her family and her friends were stressed out, because when you're in these toxic relationships, your family and friends are stressed out. Mm-hmm. They are looking at you like you crazy. They are judging you a little bit, Mm-hmm. But they're sad, Mm-hmm. They're like, oh my goodness, like, she's so smart and beautiful, and why are you in this toxic relationship?
Yeah.
So that's what was going on with her. And they were just sad. So then she met me through the podcast, a Breakup is a Wake Up podcast. She emailed me, right? Mm-hmm. And so we started working together. And literally, like, in 2 weeks or less, she got over the guy that she was with for 10 years.
All right.
And so we did her self-love for the assignments. We got her business started. We got her focused on her business. Because self-love is about, what do you really want to do? Mm-hmm. Some people want to finish school. Some people want to start businesses. Mm-hmm. So we got her business started on Instagram, up and running. And we had a great run during the Detox from Your Ex program. Mm-hmm. And then I called her a year later, and she was like, I'm engaged. And I was like, you're engaged? Oh, my goodness, congrats. And then she got married. She got married at 42 years old. Yeah. Now, you see how she went from 40 to 42 and beat the learning curve instead of doing 10 years of the same thing? Yeah. So she saves 10 years of her life.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few key things that came out of that for me. So you were talking about that the fact that you help people do what they really want to do. So it's not just about, having that self-awareness, but now it's about taking action on the things that you really want to do once you go through some self-discovery.
Aries action taker. I'm going to make you take some action.
Yeah, I love that you do. I love that you do that part of it. And then the other part that I wanted to mention is just your follow-up, right? Just being a coach and following up with this person and finding out 2 years later that they're about to get married. And that's all a result of having gone through your program, putting some things in place. And now, she's about to live that, happily ever after. Hopefully that's going to be happily ever after. But I'm sure she's going into that relationship, self-aware, driven, you know what I mean? Like, so I love that you said that. I wanted to mention some of those key points. So we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to take a quick commercial. Everybody don't go anywhere. And then I want to shift gears to talk about your book and what you wrote about in the book, because you also are an author, and it is Read a Book and Buy a Book Day. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to go back to self-love, because I want to hear more examples also of clients that you've helped, because I want to mention this too. I think people don't think necessarily about, I love that you decided to get a coach. People don't think about coaches in this area. People think about coaches, if they're doing something that needs some emotional, they need some emotional awakening, right? Or some awareness, but they don't think about it in regards to a relationship, right? And being able to get through a breakup. So I just think it's so key what you're doing, and you got something super special here. So let's do a quick commercial break, everybody. We're going to come back with Charmaine. Please don't go anywhere, because I know she's got so much goodness to share in regards to helping you or a family member. If you know somebody that is going through something, that she can help them as well. So we're going to take this break and we'll be right back.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? Seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Back, everybody. So I'm not going to delay this any further. We're back from commercial break. We are speaking with Miss Selflove, the breakup strategist herself, also known for the podcast, A Breakup is a Wake Up. So if you have missed the first part of this, you want to make sure that you are going back to watch this. We are talking about how to get through a breakup, how to detox from your ex. But we're going to shift gears just a little bit, because I know Charmaine is an author as well, and wanted to talk about, her story in the book, and tell people why you decided to become an author and tell your story.
Yes. Well, I was with Miss Manifest. We were at an event. I met Emilio. Then we all got into the book. And I was excited to be in the book, The Spiritual Fitness Survivor Part 2, because, it helped me say some things that I never said on my podcast. So it helped me be more vulnerable. So I'm always excited to have, blessed to have been in that book. Because now I'm able to be more vulnerable. Those things that I told in that book, I never told on a podcast, right? So now I'm able to be more vulnerable, help more people, right? So, I just told my story in that book about certain breakups that I had to go through that I never wrote out or anything. So it was therapy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're breaking up just a little
Oh,
bit.
that's not good. Okay. I wasn't breaking up before. Now I'm. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Can we hear you there? You're frozen a little bit, but I can hear you. Just speak, say something else.
Am I still breaking up or am I
There you
okay?
go. Nope, you are not breaking up. Your voice sounds good. I'm just going to mention some
Hi,
comments here.
Nikki.
We've got Nikki here saying, hello, I am here. Hey, Nikki, we are glad that you are here. And we've got Miss Manifest saying, yes, Amelia
Yes.
Roman and Daniela Roman, we love you. And we
Yes.
were all in that wonderful book together. So I love that you talked about vulnerability. And I always say, there's a phrase that I say, I always say that there's strength in vulnerability. I think a lot of people try to associate vulnerability with weakness, and I think it's absolutely the exact opposite. And when we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, there's so much strength in that. But the bigger part of that is once you exude that strength and you're able to really tell it from an authentic place, the people that you're going to help, which you are an example of because you've had over 500 clients, you've got over 150,000 people on your podcast. So the amount of people that you are able to help once you become vulnerable and authentic with your story, you change lives and it magnifies. So I'm so glad that you said that that book helped you to be vulnerable. Yeah,
Yes, definitely. And also a part of helping people is, standing up for yourself. Because when we try to be like everybody else and,
yeah.
do all of this, like I always say, I feel like I'm,
You're,
the Martin
you're
Luther King
breaking
of,
up again from you're
oh
breaking
my
up again,
gosh.
love.
What the heck? I was just fine when I got on here.
So let's see, everybody. We're still getting comments from everybody. Miss Selflove, how can we get a copy of your book? All right, we'll give that to you. Yep, so we'll have to give that to you, and we'll post that here, Denise, very soon. And then that
Am
book
I still
too.
breaking up?
Now you sound better.
I hope I stay like
You,
this. I don't.
you, you sound a lot better. You're good.
Okay. Sorry. Go
You're good.
ahead. Uh-huh.
No, you're good right now. So I was just reading some of the comments that were coming through. That book changed our life, and I love you too, Miss Manifest. And we were all in that book together. And I feel like every time you write part of your story, and many of us out there have many pieces to our story, right? That lead to the people that we are today. But every time I sat down and written my truth, right, it gives me that strength and that vulnerability that Charmaine mentioned. And from these things and being able to speak out loud and even being able to speak and be transparent on these shows, I was able to tell another story, another part of my life when I was at a conference called Unleash Your Greatness, something that I had never talked about before. So I agree with you, Charmaine. It just brings out something that just needs to come out and help other people. So, and Denise is saying she 100% agrees. So Denise was asking, where can she get a copy of the book? So, let us know. We'll put it here in the banner so people can go get the book.
Yes, definitely. Just contact me and I'll get you the book. You can just hit me in a message on Facebook and we'll talk and I'll ship it over.
All right. And she is Charmaine Floyd on Facebook. So I'm just going to put that. I'll spell it for you guys here so
Thank
that
you
you can
so
make
much,
sure that you
Tracy.
reach out to her.
Am I clear?
Yes, you are. You are very clear. So this is her on Facebook, Charmaine Floyd. So you want to make sure that you reach out to her, send her a message, and you can actually buy the book, Spiritual Fitness Survivor Edition 2, the second edition. All right. So let's get back into more stories about clients that you've helped and what you've seen people go through in relationships and what they need to detox from, which is why they come to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot of different things clients come to me for. Sometimes people, want to still be back with their ex, which is what I wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I wanted to be back with my ex. I started this movement also because I thought I wanted to be back with my ex because, at first all you see is, roses, beautiful roses. You don't see what really happened in that relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why you have to get a coach. Some people come to me and they'll be like, there was nothing wrong. We never argued. There was a lot wrong because you broke up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing wrong can mean, like the person could have been on Facebook talking to other people, messaging other people.
Mm-hmm.
And to them, nothing is wrong with that because of what, once again, society is teaching us all day long
Mm-hmm.
in marketing and music. So we don't know what's wrong or what's right half the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, things like that are that's basically what happens a lot in these breakups. Some people are in a toxic cycle. They can't get out. They're going back. I looked up the other day that it takes 7 times for a person to leave a toxic relationship. They're going to go back 7 times before they leave. And I'm here to break that average, because it ain't got to be no 7 times to be going back to no toxic relationship.
That's right.
We got one life here.
Wait.
Let's cut it out.
Right.
7 times my behind.
That's right. I love that. I love that. But you brought up something in terms of detoxing. I wanted to ask you about, I'm going to flip it a little bit, because I want to ask you about the men, because my mind was definitely going to the men. Like, what have some of the men come to you in regards to detoxing?
Yeah, the last man, their girlfriend broke up with them. Their girlfriend broke up with them, and they heard about it. They listened to my podcast, and I felt good, because I was never talking to men. Honestly, my podcast is pink, but men still came, so that's good.
That's great.
I didn't think I could relate to men. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? What I went through with a man? But they can't relate to me. Their girlfriends broke up with them for a lot of different reasons. And so the last man, basically, he had a girlfriend that she basically was trying to use him as a crutch for her to take care of him. Like, she didn't feel like taking care of herself. And he didn't really feel too comfortable with that. He wanted her to have her own things, but she basically was like, "Oh, just take care of me. Let's get married." She wants to hurry up and marry him. She was trying to get, he had a couple dollars.
Right.
She was trying to get at his bag. I was like, you may want to double check.
Right. We've got Daniela here. Good morning, Daniela.
Hi, Daniela.
Yeah. So when you think about, so did he want to get back with his ex? Because you mentioned that
he missed her. Yeah, he did want to get back with her, but he wanted to go over some things with me to make sure. No, they're not back together.
Okay.
One of the guys I had another guy, and he did get back with his ex, and they're having a baby now.
Wow. Okay. So now let's talk about that part of it, because at what point do you try to make the person see, and I'll just put this, or walk the person through when, getting back doesn't necessarily sound like it's the best thing based on, that person's story and how you've been coaching them. Then how do you take them through that process?
They have to see that themselves through the assignments and through the books. They usually come to that light on their own. I can't force. I learned as a coach, you can't force people's breakthroughs.
Sure.
You'll go crazy trying to force a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
So I let them have their own breakthroughs. So usually it can happen for somebody around. Usually it can happen around week 4. Yeah.
Okay. But still, as long as they get that revelation. So then that leads me to my next question, because I'm sure that you have people who it doesn't happen right away, and maybe it doesn't happen in that 30 days. So then what's the next steps when you're like, okay, or they're even realizing that I'm not through this yet. I haven't gone through this yet to be able to come out on the other side and be whole and be okay. So then what do you do for them in those cases?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. So the next step was we carry them over to the Selfluv for the Soul program. So I have a few clients now going to the next Selfluv for the Soul program, so they can have some more work.
Okay. So tell us what that looks like. What do you take them
the
through?
Selfluv for the Soul program? I take them through another 4 weeks, and we're focusing on self-validation, because usually people that haven't got it in the first 6 weeks, they're having validation issues. They want validation from people and not within themselves. So that's usually what's going on with them. So I'm throwing validation assignments and more money assignments. Work on your money, work on your goals, and your validation.
I love that. So go back to that work on your. Why is it so important to work on your money and work on your goals?
Yes, well, because that's what our higher selves, that's what we really want to do. We've been basically hiding what we really want to do for so long. We've been in these toxic relationships, working on our partners' goals, working on their businesses. Basically making them feel like everything, making the partner the center of our world, and we forgot about what we want to do and what we need to do. So I'm like, work on yourself. That's the better way. You're the best investment. You always bet on yourself, instead of putting all that information, putting all of that into your partner.
All that.
You know, me as well. You know, my
Right.
next relationship, you know, he's responsible for his own business. I'm there to support him and all of that, but I'm not going to be doing, I'm responsible for my own business. He's responsible for his own business.
That's right.
I'm not responsible for his business. You know, and I didn't know that before.
Yeah, it's like I could cheer you on, right? And I can.
I'm words of affirmation anyway, so that's all I'm gonna do. I'm like,
Right.
go ahead, yes, do that business, woo!
Yes.
All right now.
So speak about, you just mentioned the affirmations, which are so key in life. So talk about, some of the affirmations. Do you give people affirmations that they can start saying to themselves over and over again to help them as they're going through the program?
Honestly, they need to. I haven't given out any affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
I just basically, the assignments, they're basically validating themselves on the inside through the assignments that I give in, like really deep inner work.
Yeah.
You know, because I really want them to believe in themselves, like really deep in the root of the inside.
Yeah.
So, but affirmations are
come up with their own affirmations, right? Based on
yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us some other things that you've come across that people should be aware of. Let's do this. How do people even know when they're in a toxic relationship? And that may sound like a silly question, but some people, right, don't even know that they're in a toxic relationship. So let's talk about that part. How do they identify that?
When they start feeling sad and like when they realize that they're crying more than they're happy, because you don't know you're in a toxic relationship, you really don't. So when they realize, they feel it on their insides, again, no matter what the outside is telling them, they feel it in their soul that something's not right here.
Yeah.
So then they start researching and looking, and they come across my podcast and my page, and basically that's how we meet. They become aware within their soul that something's not right.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And have most of your clients come from the podcast, would you say?
A majority of my clients come from the podcast and Instagram, but majority come from the podcast. Yes, the podcast, they come from all over the world. It takes you all over the globe, the podcast. That's why I love it.
I love it. So, so talk about this. We got to get into this podcast. I wish I had one of the recordings to actually play for people. We'll have to do that next time you come on.
That's fine.
For sure. But now just talk to people about where they can find the podcast and what they can expect from the podcast.
Yeah, so the podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Breakup is a wake up podcast. And you can just follow it and listen. It's basically me on there. I have interviews with my clients about how they got through the 30-day Detoxing X program. And it's me on there about 10 minutes long, going through different subjects that people have asked me. And I'm just talking to you and telling you how to get through this particular subject and giving you tips on how to do that. Very raw, very real, very straight up. Because, we have to be straight up at this point. Your life is on the line and we have to move you to the next step. Very empathetic as well.
Yeah.
And then, I talk about the 30-day Detoxing X program on that podcast. That's the next step to take. Now that you're aware and you're listening and you're consuming, that's one part. You need to take the next step.
And okay, so let's talk about, I love that whole portion. And you said 10 minutes. So I love even that it's 10 minutes because it really only takes that much time. And usually that's when you get people, right? Like that's when it's going to click for them in the first, 10 to 12 minutes of anything, really, to be perfectly honest. So I love that the podcast is 10 minutes and that you're giving them that information that they need within that first 10 minutes. But I also wanted to talk about, I know that you teach people also how to start their own podcast. So talk a little bit about, particularly for entrepreneurs, why a podcast is so important.
It's important because it reaches all over the globe really fast. It reaches all over the globe. People are busy, they can't always watch video, so they're driving in their car. A lot of people meet me by driving in their car. They be like, I was listening to all your stuff driving in my car. So they're driving in their car, they need something to play, they're working their hands, they can't sit and watch the video. Audio's the next level. So that's why it's becoming so huge. So you need a podcast.
Okay. And how
do podcast trainings?
and
Tracy said.
Right. And quickly, how do you get more people listening to your podcast? Is there anything in particular that you're doing just to share that?
Stay consistent. I stay consistent. I speak from the heart. It's no overnight flip. It's just staying consistent, speaking from the heart, giving value, and showing up. That's how you get to people to listen, to the podcast.
Yeah. All right. So is there any podcast in particular, like, a title or a subject matter that you talked about that just like blew up, and anyone that you can think of in particular?
Yeah. Stay your A out of that toxic relationship before your A goes to jail. And everybody likes that one because, majority of women that are in jail, they're in jail that has something to do with a man in a relationship. And I talk about that in the podcast. And because we get in these relationships and it's bringing out the bad side of us to where we want to hurt somebody. Ooh. And that's not who we are. You can go to jail because of that.
Yeah.
So I say stay out of it before you go your behind to jail. And that one pretty much, people love that one. So.
Yeah. And just the title itself, like just saying that the title is going to make people say, oh, let me listen to this. So I love that. But I told everybody out there when we started your bio that she is raw and real. I want you guys to make sure that you go listen to her podcast and that you listen to her videos on Instagram, because she's giving it to you just real and what you need to hear. So what have people said to you after listening to your podcast or hearing you on Instagram?
They be like, I love it. I love the information. I love everything. They love it. And I'm glad they love it. Yeah. I'm glad it's helping. I would have never knew. Who would have knew?
Yeah. Yeah. So was there...
They said it's really helping.
That's awesome. Was there any hesitation from you when you started this journey? Because I remember I'm gonna give people just a little clue into, like, when I met you at the event in Canada. From the very beginning, you were owning who you are right now as a coach, like from the very beginning. And I know that was probably early on in your entrepreneurship or career, but you were owning it. Like when you got up and introduced yourself, it was like I wanted to snap my fingers, because I was like, she just did that. She did that. She was like, I am Miss Self-Love. A breakup is a wake up. And I don't remember verbatim, but I mean, you just came out with it. And, it just attracts people to you. But just talk a little bit about, when you started that journey, what made you say, you know what, I'm going to own this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to help as many people as I can. And then you just push forward and now you're flourishing.
Yeah, well, I had one foot in the door, one foot out for 7 months. 7 months. I didn't marry the business till 7 months later. So, I was, it was December 2019. And I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to go this deep? Do I really want to talk about this? And, I really was thinking about quitting. And then right when that happened, messages, oh, your podcast helped me so much. Oh, this is da 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 da. I was like, oh goodness, I can't quit. This is fine.
that was the divine telling you that.
Right there. I was getting ready to be like, I'm not doing this. And so, yeah, I married it then. 7 months in, I married the business. All my whole body was in at that point. So.
And you notice that that number 7 keeps coming up, that number of completion. It took me 7 years to leave corporate America, even though
today's a 7, Tracy.
Yeah.
7. And my birthday's on April 7th.
Yes.
7 number of completion. You're right, because it was 7 months then.
Yeah. Now this is my Aries sister here too, since she just talked about birthdays. So I want to bring up something else, because I know that like me, you are the mother of a son, or a boy mom,
yes,
as it is affectionately called on social media. So just talk about even the importance of being whole as a person and completely self-aware in order to be the best mother that you need to be for your son.
Self-love gets you to being a better mother, a better friend. I became a better mother once I learned myself. Thank goodness I wasn't jumping from rebound to rebound relationships, having all those types of energies around my son, right? So I became a better mom. When you put yourself first, you become self-aware, it helps everybody around you. And I always tell that people, you will become a better parent.
Yeah, I love that. So what things have maybe even that you've shared with your son as you have continued to grow? And I just want to put this up here because Lori has put your
Oh, thank you. I
podcast
appreciate
there,
you,
your
Lori.
podcast link. So we're gonna put this on the show page after the fact, but just wanted to put that up there so everybody can see that's in the comments. If you want to go check out the podcast, make sure that you do. The link is there from Facebook user, so just look for that. So I just wanted to
Thank
put
you.
that up there.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I think Nikki must be an Aries too. She's saying yes, Aries.
Aries, yes.
Yes. So yeah, so we were talking about just the importance of, being whole, being that person for your child, for your son, and particularly when we're single mothers, right? And just having that, just that emotional stability within yourself, so that it can just exude from you, and that your child is able to see that. Have you
Yes.
have you had clients that also have kids where you've had to kind of bring that into play also as they are going through this detox?
Yeah, I've had a few clients with children, and I help them parallel parent and things where they're
Mm.
detoxing. That's a whole system to get into, but I've
Mm.
I've helped them because that's a whole nother system when it
Yeah,
comes to kids.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. So give us some last words. We're about 9 minutes until the
Yes.
close of this show. I want you to give us some last words, some nuggets that you want to leave people with, in order for them to understand the importance of being able to detox from their ex.
Yes, basically, don't check your ex's stories on social media. Stay in. Basically, do not contact your ex. Do anything because you need
Mm-hmm.
time to detox out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
Get some help. Get a breakup coach so they can walk you through the no contact.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the podcast. The Breakup is a Wake Up podcast so you can get some strength.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of any friends and family you're listening to through this breakup because they may not have the best advice. So
Mm-hmm.
be very aware of who you're listening to during these times.
Yeah.
And, really take this time to, sometimes we have to take 5 steps back so we can slingshot forward.
Mm-hmm.
So please do not go dating. Take this time for yourself. This is time for you to sit down and remember who the F you are.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. And we had Nikki make a comment. I wanted to put this up here. She said, "You are still an individual when you are in a relationship. And if that is not understood, it is time to head out." I love that.
Yes.
So I feel like there should be 200%, right? And I was just discussing this earlier this week, actually, but there should be 200%, right? So each person needs to be 100% to bring a whole 200 to the relationship, right? So I love that Nikki says that you're an individual, right? You need to be able to just be who you are in that relationship. So let's get into that just a little bit before we end the show, about your individuality and not trying to adopt what the other person feels like you need to be, in order for you to be in a relationship.
Are you able to hear me, Tracy, still or no?
Yes, I can hear you.
So basically, I feel like that I didn't know what Nikki said at first back in the day about being an individual in a relationship. I thought I had to literally mesh and be one. So I'm glad she brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she brought that up, that you do have to be an individual
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship and have your own individuality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said with my next partner, that business is his and my business is mine. And if we do a business together, then that's different.
That's right.
So yeah, that's very important. But what was the question again? Can you repeat it?
No, I was just saying, that was really it. Like talking about, how it's just important to be that individual, and helping people understand that as they are going through the detox, right? Because I feel like each person should come with 100 to the table, right? So that you have 200 when you get together.
Yep. So yes, so I definitely help. That's basically what the program is about, that they have to learn who they are, and we don't, that's why Selfluv University is coming, because like I said, we study everything. We study books, we study people, we study everything but ourselves. People really don't know themselves. So when we get into the relationship, we have to know who we are and what we're looking for, and then I also extended it to a dating program. I've had clients that finished the Detox from Your Ex program, finished the Self-Love program. Now they're in a dating program. You know, my client got a whole chocolate man from going through the program in less than 3 months. She's 50 years old.
Yeah, I love
and we got her on the apps, and she got herself a whole chocolate man now from detox. And this happened in less than 3 months. This is what I'm talking about, the time frame and the learning curve.
Yeah.
This is important. Her whole life is saved. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
So basically, individuality is important. Knowing yourself is important. And, you know, the Self-Love University that I'm coming out with is going to be for everybody. It's even going to be for people in relationships, because I usually don't do things for people in relationships because it's just not how I do things. I like to get them while they are single and focused. They ain't got nobody to focus on but themselves. But the Self-Love University is going to be a digital course to where people in relationships can get back to self-love and learn who we are and study ourselves. And I'm still studying myself till this day, you know. So studying yourself is important.
Yeah, and that doesn't stop. And I used the word voyage yesterday, because that's what really self-discovery is, and just owning who you are. Because you change over time, right? So you have to continue to self-discover. So it's a voyage. It's a voyage, and you know, be able to love the journey while you're taking it, and go on the voyage and endure it like it's a trip, a trip to somewhere fantastic, right? Because it really is, if you allow it to be. There's Carrie. I was using that word last night on Fem Talk. The fantastic voyage, Carrie. So that's my new word. That might be a speech coming up, but we're gonna pin that one right there. But that's my word. I wrote that down last night because I'm like, this means something to me right now. But yeah, so enjoy the voyage, right? Take a fantastic voyage and discover who you are. Yes, absolutely. Going to have to do something with that. So listen, everybody, Miss Self-Love has just graced her with her presence. I absolutely love this young woman. And I want you guys to make sure that you listen to her podcast, that you connect with her on Instagram and Facebook. She is on Facebook as well. But connect with her on both of those platforms so that you can see more of what she's doing. If you are experiencing a toxic relationship, know that you need a breakup, or you've already broken up and you just, not really getting through it well, reach out to her. Or if you know somebody who's having problems also in their relationship or just breaking up, make sure that you give Miss Self-Love's information to that person. So I'm going to once again put up the podcast link, and you guys can go on this page and click the link so that you can get to her podcast. I wanted to put that up there. And then I also just wanted to share, she's on Facebook, she's Charmaine Floyd, right? On Instagram, it's Miss Self-Love though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
mz.selfluv on Instagram.
Okay, so let me put this. I want to just put this up there too, so you guys know how to reach her on Instagram as well. So you can reach out to her. Am I getting that right? I think I got 2 L's in there, so I don't want that. Let me just edit that. It's 2 L's where it doesn't need to be on love and self-love. So let me just re-show that. Here we go. This is live TV, everybody, live TV. So that's Miss Self-Love on IG. And then the podcast is called A Breakup is a Wake Up. And you saw that particular link in there. So I just want to thank everybody for being here on the Whole Living Show with us. I hope that you come back next week at 10 a.m. right here on Facebook or E360 TV. And remember, if you missed an episode or missed any part of this episode, you want to go back to E360 TV and watch it. We are on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Android TV, Apple TV, and the E360 TV has a mobile app, so you can watch us right from your phone anywhere that you are in the world where you have internet service. We love you all. We thank you for being here, and we will see you all next week. Thank you, Miss Self-Love. I love you, and I'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.